Good morning. I hope you can't hear my heater too much. It's a little bit chilly in my office today. I am popping in to give you an update on the WCA Work Capability Assessment DWP training. And I'm doing that because I know that we've got lots of historic issues with government, with the DWP within the ME CFS community. And I do not want anyone to think that you haven't got a voice in this, because you have. It's just I'm doing the heavy lifting initially. So I'm just going to tell you where we are. I have not had an official response from either DWP or Department for Health and Social Care. I have been put onto the person that created the training, and that's kind of going backwards and forwards, but they seem to think I'm more interested in the training they're creating now, because the work capability assessment is being scrapped, isn't it, relatively soon, and that's what they're working on now. They're not really understanding that I've got issues with the WCA training that's been in effect for at least the last 18 months. And I need an explanation for why that training was allowed to be created and why it was created. So I'm going to read to you my last email that I sent to the Secretary of State for Health and Social Care. Now, to be clear, the only reason it's directed to the Secretary of State is because I know that they're not going to deal with it, but their teams under them will eventually. So you aim high and then it gets filtered lower before anybody says, oh, you're aiming too high. This is how it works. You go high, the people underneath sent to the place that it needs to go to. So I'm going to read you the email that I sent on the 28th of August. So that's just short of a month. Dear Secretary of State, I'm writing to follow up on my letter dated 18th of July 2025, see email thread below, regarding the DWP training document titled Overview of Myalgic Encephalomyelitis or Encephalopathy. Shows you how often I say that word. Version 3, 10th of May 2023, blah, blah, blah. As outlined in our original correspondence, this training material directly contradicts NICE guideline NG 206, the official clinical standard for MECFS within NHS England, and poses a serious risk of harm to claimants undergoing work capability assessments. The discrepancies are not only clinically concerning, but also ethically and legally problematic. Given that 5 weeks have now passed without response, so that's now 9 weeks without response, I must reiterate the urgency of this matter. The continued use of this guidance undermines the standards set by your Department for Health and Social Care, and perpetuates harm to a chronically ill patient population. Stripey Lightbulb CIC stands ready to support a constructive cross-departmental resolution. We urge you to confirm receipt of our original letter and advise on next steps towards addressing this dangerous policy conflict. A signed paper copy of the letter was also posted to your office at the time of our initial email, which was obviously back in July. I don't know how many times I can stress urgent. Somebody somewhere obviously read that initial correspondence because they contacted the person that created the training to say, look what this organisation is saying about your training, right? So somebody somewhere has seen it. Combined with that, I've not been secretive about this. Our efforts on this have been sent to all sorts of very random government departments as a time wasting measure. It's been sent to the Department of Education. It's nothing to do with the Department of Education. It very clearly says in the letter and the email, which was a copy, that it's for Department for Health and Social Care and the Department for Work and Pensions. It was then sent, I received an apology we're really sorry it was sent to the wrong department. Actually, no, to clarify, I was blamed and I was told that I sent it to the wrong department. Weird. And then it was mysteriously sent to a second wrong department. It was sent to the department that deals with energy efficiency and like climate change type stuff. And then a couple of weeks ago, I got you sent to the wrong department again. Why did you do that? Because I didn't. And they've now said that they've sent it to DWP. This is all very messy, but I just want to reassure everybody that I am on it, and I'm chasing it. And why does Stripey Lightbulb care? Because we are a training organisation. I worked incredibly hard to make sure that everything in our training is the latest science, fully evidence-based, fully referenced. And yet now the DWP have said, yeah, you could follow the NICE guideline, but this BACME, British Association of Clinicians in ME, which a lot of whom are psychologists, say, actually, you could do this, which is very similar to graded exercise therapy and CBT, which is not evidence-based and which is not following the science or the latest evidence. So as a training organisation, that makes us angry, very angry. So we simply want to have a conversation and ask why the DWP asked for this training to be created if they weren't actually going to follow the science, and why I've been told, oh, well, the Department of Health and Social Care don't know anything about this. DWP is not under their remit. Well, I would say that's why this was allowed to happen, because there is no communication between DWP and Department of Health and Social Care, which is ridiculous because they're literally training their assessors using evidence materials, ideas, opinions that are not government policy, according to the Department of Health and Social Care. Anyway, so there you go. So I've read you the latest update. I will be emailing them again and saying, why is no one responding to this? Because this is urgent. With my cynical head on, I know why, because if they do what we requested in our letter, and I won't get it up on I don't know why, but on YouTube, I can't share my screen, but I can read you the demands that I made in our original letter. You can see it in a blog, which is on our website, stripeylightbulb.com. But in our original letter, very long letter, that includes all of the reasons why the training is not fit for purpose and should be scrapped. So one, right, so in this letter, we said to Wes Streeting, we therefore urge you to work collaboratively with the Secretary of State for Work and Pensions, who at the time was Liz Kendall, but is now Pat McFadden, to take the following actions immediately. This was 9 weeks ago. 1, ensure the immediate withdrawal of the WCA training from use in all DWP, DWP and contracted WCA services. 2, establish a formal cross-departmental process to ensure all DWP training and guidance for assessing individuals with ME/CFS is rigorously checked for compliance with the latest NICE guidelines before publication. 3, initiate a joint review led by both DHSC and DWP of the WCA process for ME/CFS claimants. This review must be co-produced with ourselves. We are a CPD accredited ME/CFS training provider, social enterprise. We're not for profit. So this is not about us making money. This is making sure that the training that is available is fit for purpose and correct. And where there are unknowns with ME, you simply don't put misinformation in that space. You say, we don't know the answer to this. And you leave it blank. You don't fill in. So in collaboration with ME/CFS patients, ourselves, ME/CFS patient representative organisations and clinical experts to ensure it is fit for purpose and evidence-based. And 4, this is the biggie. This is where I think it's going to cost them money and why they are dragging their feet. Commit to a cross-departmental review of past WCA decisions for ME/CFS claimants where this flawed guidance may have resulted in an incorrect or unjust outcome. Okay, so we sent that 9 weeks ago. That's why I believe they are dragging their feet, because this flawed training has literally been saying, and I'm paraphrasing now, but the gist of it is, if the person with ME sitting in front of you says that their illness is real, they will themselves be having a negative impact on their prognosis. So the heavy lift in there is that ME is psychosomatic, which is completely untrue, as proven with all the evidence contained in our training. And that's kind of what it says in the NICE guideline, that ME patients have been heavily stigmatized by healthcare and scientific community, well, psychologists, scientific community for decades, and that, you know, their disease is real. So for them to have the NICE guideline and then this alternative view in the same training document is obscene. So there we go. And who else have we written to? We've written to NICE and said, this is an issue that you need to know about. They've said nothing to do with us, can't get involved, but you have raised the issue with the correct department, which is Department for Work and Pensions in their mind. But I simply cannot see how two government bodies are saying two entirely separate things. And this morning, with all this stuff about autism and paracetamol, it's been galling to see various government health ministers saying, we follow the science, we're very science-led, all our policies are linked to the latest evidence, blah, blah, blah. Well, untrue. I'm glad to hear Department of Health and Social Care saying that, but if Department for Work and Pensions are ignoring that to save money on the welfare bill, that is ethically and morally wrong. So there you go. That's why Stripe Library is pursuing this, because training matters, education matters. Because on one hand, we're training healthcare employers and teachers on this is what ME is and is not. This is what is known and is not known. But, you know, researchers are working on it, blah, blah, blah. And then DWP are denying people living with ME benefits, which must be happening. It must be since 2023. And are saying, actually, that's what NICE says, but this is the alternative. And they're giving the assessors the option to think that ME is psychosomatic, which, no. Anyway, there you go. That's the update for today. Not getting anywhere very quickly, but, you know, every day I'm contacting somebody on this issue. Anyway, there you go. Thank you for listening.